Making the switch from day trading to swing trading is probably one of the best decisions that you could make as a trader, and I'm going to share with you everything that you need to know. And the best part is you only really need an hour a day. Just last month alone, trading a small account, $2,700. So I know a lot of people are working that 9-to-5 job, going to university, maybe they're just busy with life in general and they don't have that ability to day trade, so they look at swing trading as a result of a second stream or maybe a first stream of income. In fact, I know so many traders that have made the transitions from day trading to swing trading, and that's when they started becoming profitable. Typically a lot less emotions, more profit, higher probability, a bigger trading edge in the market. So that's why I think it's the best decision for a lot of traders that might be struggling with day trading and looking at swing trading, or maybe people that just don't have the time or the resources to day trade. And so they look at swing trading as that first or second stream of income. I appreciate if you guys like this video, and in fact, if you've been making that switch from day trading to swing trading, I want to hear your story down below, because that's where other people can hear from other people about their feedback and their experience, and maybe it's benefited them a lot, and I think other people would get a lot of value. And let's get straight into this. Okay, so let's talk about your routine as a trader. And I believe you only need 1 hour a day. And how I would set this up, maybe you're busy with a 9-to-5 job, maybe you're busy with university, you're just busy with life in general, okay? And you're sick of day trading, so you want to try swing trading. You only need 1 hour a day. And so how I would schedule your day is 1 hour in the morning and maybe 1 hour at night. You want to do 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes at night, that's fine, but you should be looking at the markets at least 2 times a day. Once in the morning, once at night. That's going to be your time that you're reading up on the fundamentals, you're reading up on the news, you're setting your orders for the day, and then you're walking away totally. You're managing any positions. Okay, so I believe you only need 1, maximum 2 hours a day. And it should be scheduled around the morning time and night time. If in the afternoon, that's fine. It depends on you. I know a lot of people come to me and they're like, oh, I'm scared to enter position. Why are you scared to hold a position? The reason you're scared and you're not confident is because you don't believe you have an edge in the market. Okay, you don't have the time and experience. You have no problem holding a long-term position in the NASDAQ or the S&P or a handful of stocks for months or years. But you have an issue with holding a position for 2 days, 3 days, a week to 2 weeks? Like, what's your problem with that? You don't even think about these long-term positions that you have hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars at risk at the markets at all time. But you have no problem sweating over those positions, but you sweat over a little swing trade overnight? Like, come on, guys. That's ridiculous. Change your mindset and you'll become a much better trader, okay? And like I said, the reason I've been switching, I know a lot of people have been switching over this year because Donald Trump is in office and it's a lot more volatile, and a lot of people have been getting liquidated, stopped out. So a lot of people have been transitioning over to swing trading for a lot less noise, okay? So those are kind of the quick topics that I wanted to quickly talk about. Okay, let's talk about markets in time frame sequences, because this is one of the most commonly asked questions when it comes to swing trading is, what markets should I be looking at? How many markets should I be looking at? What time frame sequences should I be using? It's a great question though, I understand. It's confusing, so let's break this down. Very simple, okay? If you plan on swing trading, you're going to be using the monthly, the weekly, and ideally the daily as your highest time frame. Maybe you don't care about the monthly, so you want to use the weekly, daily. That's fine too. And as for your entry time frame, as in where you're going to be taking trades off of, you're going to be using typically the 4 hour, the 1 hour, and the 30 minute. I mean, you can see it right here. You're just gonna be using this. I don't know why I'm drawing this out. Monthly, weekly, or daily as your highest time frame. I use a combination of weekly and monthly personally. And then my entry time frame is always the 4 hour, 1 hour, or 30 minute. Typically 1 hour or 30 consist of 80% of my swing trades, rarely on the 4 hour, but they can be. As for how many markets you should be looking at and what markets, I personally only trade 10 markets, and I have no problem getting between, on the low end, 10, on the high end, 18 trades per month while swing trading. Last month, I think I averaged 13. I only look at 10 markets. I recommend following being somewhere between 10 and 20, maybe 25 maximum, and drawing out your monthly and weekly levels. If you trade currencies, focus on currencies. I personally look at a mix of currencies, metals, and the indices like the S&P, maybe the NASDAQ, gold, crude oil, dollar, euros, pound, those type of markets is what I use. Okay, if you have access to coffee and soybeans, you could do that too, but it really depends on you as a trader. If you trade stocks, that's fine too. I do stock trading too. That's totally fine. You can swing trade stocks. Okay, but those are the time frames and markets that I recommend. Okay, so now that we got markets and time frame sequences out of the way, let's dive into the markets and talk about a top-down analysis. And when we're talking about this, we're going to be talking about COT reports, technicals, and fundamentals, because this is how you create an edge in the market, is combining all three. We just talked about, okay, we understand the markets that we should be looking at and the time frame sequences. Now, what do we do? And I'm going to give you resources on fundamentals at the end about where to find these fundamental catalysts, how to read the data, COT reports, how to read that type of stuff. I'm going to give you information because we're going to talk about it, but those deserve to be separate videos, but I'm going to give you the information on them. But let's talk about top-down analysis. What am I doing? What should you be doing? Okay, so the first one that we're going to talk about is the dollar. So the first thing that I do, now that we talked about what markets we should be looking at, what time frame sequences, let's talk about top-down analysis, what's going on through my brain, what you should be doing. The first thing that I do when I look at a chart, I always draw out my technicals, because that's going to reign supreme over everything. So I always start off with technicals on my weekly time frame. And the first thing that I notice right away is we have a beautiful level of supply right here, a very nice little supply zone, which is also kind of resistance, because this area of support, about 7 times. We then broke through it. So I'm going to see this level as an area of supply, but also resistance. That's going into my technicals. Fundamentally, the United States dollar is a very weak performing market. Like Donald Trump wants a weak dollar. He wants lower interest rates, so the Fed has to decrease rates. That doesn't really encourage a strong dollar. When you're decreasing interest rates, that's not good for the United States dollar, right? So I am looking at selling this thing sentiment-wise, fundamentally, and technicals. I like this. It's in a downtrend long term. We're coming up into supply. Sentiment-wise, you look at the COT reports, you look at the United States dollar, they've been adding their short positions. Do I have to like scroll in so you can see this? They've been adding to their short positions, closing their long positions, adding into their shorts long term. You tag that along with Donald Trump wants a weak dollar. The Fed wants a weak dollar. The economy is not good with economic data. We are sitting inside resistance / supply. You guys understand this? So I like looking for selling opportunities, but what I'm waiting for right now is I'm waiting for confirmation. So while this thing is rallying up for the last couple of weeks, I like it for selling opportunities, but I have to wait for this thing to start selling off to the downside like this, and then I catch the pullback like this. Right? Or maybe prices go like this, then rally up, then drop, and then I start selling back into supply zones like that. But right now, I have a great story of why I want to be selling, but I don't yet have evidence of sellers stepping in yet, right? So I need to wait for my technicals to turn over. Let me show you an example, like the Japanese yen. Let me go like this and just take a photo of this whole thing. So this Japanese yen, we're going to go through over many examples. You're going to pick this up. I'm going to drill it in your head. So the Japanese yen, their overall net long positions, they went from 179,000 contracts long, and they've been decreasing them, and they're going down to 151,000. Okay? I like looking for selling opportunities. The banks and institutions, they're selling this thing, so ideally I want to be selling too. We look at the technicals. We have this beautiful one time frame setup. Guys, do you remember the one time frame setup? I did it in my last video talking about the 4 setups that I trade every single day. Like this, those are the setups that I'm entering this off of, right? Like the setups as in I'm waiting for momentum line to break, opposing zones to be removed. I'm using those 4 setups here with swing trading, right? This same supply zone, very strong imbalance to the downside, taking out structure down and to the left, right? Very strong imbalance, rally base drop supply zone. I sell the pullback back into that level of supply, and I get out at a 3-to-1, and I walk away with $900 and about $1,000 in profits. Okay, this is the combination of technical, sentiment, fundamentals. Fundamentally, the Japanese yen is one of the worst performing economies out there. It's very poor performing. Why would I want to be buying the yen? Okay, so you understand, I would rather be selling it. And so when I have a combination of all three, that creates a good trade setup. So let's talk about another one. Let's talk about one that I'm targeting is the Aussie right now. And we'll talk about gold and we'll talk about these other ones. But right now, technically, long term, I start on my monthly or weekly. What are we in a down? We're in a downtrend, right? So ideally, I want to be drawing out supply zones, looking for selling opportunity. So the first thing that I do on my monthly is I draw out areas of interest. I got monthly supply right here, and maybe I don't have monthly demand at all. I really don't have any monthly demand. I'm very bearish this thing long term. Fundamentally, it's a very poor performing market. Okay, technically we're sitting inside supply. Okay, and then if you actually wanted to look at the COT reports, you can see here they've actually been adding to their short position. So you can see here on this column that I'm circling, see how they went from minus 49,000 down to minus 61, down to minus 70, down to now minus 81,000. Okay, they're not really buying this thing, they're adding to their short positions. So I want to be looking for selling opportunities. I don't just go off of this and say, oh, look, they're selling, sell. No, I have to line it up with technicals, fundamentals, and sentiment, right? Usually it's technicals will reign supreme. So I have prices inside monthly supply. I have price COT selling off. I just need technicals, okay? And we'll see here, I will take my first stab at selling this thing here on this. Let me block this out, is here on this supply zone. This is that kind of confirmation setup that I talked about in that video. I will pop it on my screen again. I will have it in the description below. This same level is on the 4-hour time frame, breaking upward momentum, removing opposing pivot point zones, strong imbalance to the downside. I am going to enter this potentially if prices rally back up there. If it doesn't, then so be it. It doesn't. Maybe I try getting short. If it falls again, then maybe I try to get short there. Or maybe it's a different type of setup where it looks like this, and then I get entered in short there. Maybe I try day trading short this thing to the downside. But I'm pretty bearish this thing. I'm not going to just go long. Okay? It's the same thing with this literally looks like the exact same setup. This was a trade on the Swiss. So on the Swiss, right, we were actually pulling into weekly supply way over to the left. And what I noticed is, hey, we're inside technically weekly supply. Technically, we have a reversal candlestick right here, right? Reversal candlestick on a weekly time frame, letting me know that a strong rejection of buyers did not step in. And I got this thing turning over. So I'm looking for selling opportunities, right? And so this is basically just a technical edge, purely going off of technicals. There's not much fundamentals, there's not much sentiment-wise. It's purely technicals, which is a smaller edge than if you have all three. So in this case, this supply zone right here has that super strong imbalance to the downside that's breaking support, nice little supply zone, and I'm selling the retest back into that level. And I get out, I don't know, what is it, $1,400. It's a pretty nice trade if you ask me, right? Going purely off of technicals. Okay, so let's break down another one. Okay, so we talked about those two. Let's talk about the euro. The euro, I like it. You know, when you look at sentiment-wise, we could look at silver too. Let's do a quick look at the euro. So euro-wise, we talked about this. They were going from short to long, right? I definitely like buying this thing. They're adding to their long positions. So I want to be bullish the euro. I'm super bearish the dollar right now. Donald Trump wants a weak dollar. That's going to push other currencies up long term. He wants lower interest rates, right? He wants a weak dollar. He wants lower interest rates. Fundamentally, economic news that comes out, GDP, CPI, unemployment rate, it's not good information. It's not a strong dollar, right? He wants weak data so he has a reason to decrease the interest rates, which is not good long-term for the United States dollar. So it's going to push these other currencies to the upside. And this is why you've seen the euro gain so much value, right? Doesn't this sound so much more logical than it's reacting off of a fair value gap, buy. Like, you guys have to understand this type of stuff, okay? You have to understand what an edge is and why markets are moving in these certain ways, and I'm going to talk about that. But we have here on the euro, prices pulling back. I'm bullish. I've been bearish this week, but for the long term, I'm bullish. We have prices now coming back into a level of monthly areas of demand. So I like this for buying opportunities. I just have to wait for this thing to buy back up, right? I see this thing continuing to make lower lows and lower highs. I just have not seen the buyer step in yet. And that's going to look like something like this. Break of structure, pullback. Maybe it's going to look like this, and I get long here on that pullback. Maybe I get long here on that pullback into these areas. These are different entries that I would take depending if prices step in with buyers. If they don't and it continues to sell off, I'm avoiding the markets altogether, right? And so I think a lot of people, when you come to these markets, like the Canadian market, the first thing I always do is, like, long-term wise, fundamentally, it's a very poor performing economy. Sentiment wise, they are actually adding to their short positions. Like, look at this, the Canadians, they're adding back into their short positions. They're not long at all, okay? So I'm pretty bearish this thing. Now, technically, I see it inside this this 4-hour daily demand. I think day trade longs might be valid as a technical edge. I'm definitely not buying this thing thinking it's a good swing long position, but I think you have a technical edge, right? And so same thing with silver. Silver, if we see a weak dollar, we're going to see the metals market spike to the upside. Money is pouring in economically from around the world. Companies and governments around the world are looking at hedging, getting away from the dollar, moving into safe haven currencies, right? Gold and silver. Gold's up 27% for the year. Silver's doing incredible. We're testing $40 silver now. So where I see silver, I start with my weekly time frame. I go, okay, we have weekly levels of demand. We're pulling back inside demand. If we're not inside demand, can I still get long this? Potentially, as long as I'm not sitting inside my opposing level of supply. Like, let's say, for example, like, I really like this level way to the left. Let's just say, for example, there's a really good level way to the left. I wouldn't want to be entering buys up here, you know? Like, that's when people are looking at closing their take profits. You know what I mean? People who have been buying this thing are closing their longs. I'm not going to buy up here, right? So now with it pulling back, great. I'm getting this thing on discount. I'm pulling back inside demand. I could be pulling back into support. I could be buying back into a chart pattern. I need to wait for evidence of buyers to step in. So right now, I'm keeping an eye on like a 1 hour or a 30-minute time frame, waiting for this thing to step into the upside, right? Waiting for these supply zones to be removed, waiting for structure to be broken before I try buying this thing. It's the same thing that I keep posting in my watch list. So let's go here to my watch list. The dollar, we talk about that. The NASDAQ. Okay, it's not loading. Okay, well, there it is, right? So it's these same things that I'll post every day for the traders in the Moneyball trading program. What we're watching for day trades and swing trades, it really depends on the trader. But I want to talk to you about fundamentals because I mentioned it through this and you're like, man, like fundamentals, it sounds confusing. Read this report. I'm not going to talk about it. I could talk about it for 45 minutes. ZeroHedge.com. There's going to be an article that gets posted every single day that I need you reading in the morning time and at nighttime. Okay, there's one article that looks like this. They all have the same logo as in right here. Right here, this logo. It will either say European opening news, Asian opening news, or New York opening news. Okay, that basically comes out. They come out with an article every day that gives you an outline of what happened over the last 24 hours and what they're forecasting for the next 6 hours, for the next 12 hours, for the next 24 hours. Right? So typically you want to read the most up-to-date one, but read this. This is going to give you information on what's happening with President Donald Trump, with his tariffs, what's going on with Apple shares and Amazon shares, crude oil, the dollar, what's moving the markets recently. It will take you 10 minutes, maximum 15 minutes to read. You'll get quicker and quicker at it as life goes on, right? But make sure you try to read one of those. If not, There's a fourth one that gets posted, and it has the same logo, but it gets posted 1 hour after the New York close. And this is what it looks like. It has that same one. So here's that Asian one right here. See on my top of my screen, Asia Pac opening, same logo, right? And you could just look at the logos. I mean, feel free to read other news sources. I mean, this one, WNBA forced to stop game after lime green dildo thrown on court. If you want to read an article like that, by all means, go for it. But this is one that gets posted at the end of day, and this basically just recaps everything. And so if there's ever going to be one to read the US market wrap up. And it recaps everything that happened during the Asian, the London, and the New York session. And I think it's a great read when you're going to bed or when you're doing your scan for the for your trading signals, whether you're trading, Forex, stocks, whatever. Read this, because this is going to keep you out of trades. It's going to give you reasons why prices are moving in a certain direction. It's going to give you updates on every economy, how the Japanese yen is doing, how the United States is doing. This is going to help you with your direction of why are you bullish or bearish the Japanese yen for the next 6 months? Why are you now starting to be bearish the Aussie, right? So that's a great article for you guys to be reading, is the market wrap up. Okay, and once again, that will be at zerohedge.com. Man, that was great. What else do we have to talk about? It's a lot less noise on the chart, but I understand it's a lot being thrown at you, right? And so that's why I would really encourage you guys to check out the Moneyball trading program, where the whole goal is to create traders in 90 days or less. I mean, I just did a one-on-one with a trader here in the Moneyball trading program. Let's see his results. And it was like last week I did it. Last week, he's up 10%. He's been working with me for 60 days. And it's something I do after 90 days is I sit down with them one-on-one and I go through all of their trades. We talk about whether it was a good setup, bad setup. What do you notice about your winners? How do you create a profitable edge? What do you notice about your strengths and weaknesses? Like all that type of stuff. Anybody that puts in the work, I really believe that they can become a profitable trader. I would strongly recommend you guys checking it out if you want to take your trading serious to that next level. That will be in the description down below for you guys to join too. Okay, so I appreciate if you guys like the video. Subscribe if there's any questions that you have about swing trading. Let me know in the comments below. And you can always reach out to me on social media at MoneyballAustin. The video that's going to go over the 4 setups that I trade every single day that we talked about in this video, what I'm looking for technicals, is going to be above my head right now. So check out that video and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.